Feel Good Friday episode
13.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm on this, man.
You're on
You
it.
act like I'm not on this, dude.
Well,
and why you even look at me that way?
It's impressive.
I'm on this.
Today's topic is going to revolve around your boy. Who's your boy?
Which one? DJ, Jaden?
Not Jesus. Your other boy.
DJ, Jaden.
No.
Judea.
The man, Jerry Jones.
Oh.
Papa
Okay.
Jones.
Papa Jones.
As you call him.
Yeah.
Daddy, as you call him.
Watch your mouth there. Let's not go that far.
No, Jerry Jones is to put it mildly, a polarizing.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a lot of different opinions.
Yeah, of course.
And misconceptions.
Yeah.
And perspectives of Jerry Jones. I mean, he's met who knows how many people over his life.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's got their opinion on him. Everybody, whether they've ever met him a day in their life or not,
Right.
they've got their perception of him. So I thought it'd be interesting because you obviously have a relationship with him different than most people that think they know him or have opinions on him. And so I thought it'd be fun to get a little insight of what your personal perspective, I'm not talking about anybody else's, what Darren Woodson's perspective of Jerry Jones is. And I think to set up this conversation, let's start with the first time you met him. So going in, he had just drafted you. What were your thoughts about Jerry before you ever met him? Had you ever heard anything about him? Did you know anything about him? What were your thoughts about Jerry?
I was coming out of college, and I didn't watch a lot of pro football back then. And I was so wrapped up in what I was doing at Arizona State and what was going on in the college world that, I'll just be honest. I mean, there's 4 years there where, the goal was to get to the NFL, but I wasn't sitting there watching on Sundays because we had to watch film on Sunday mornings, and our days were engulfed in, film and getting ready for the next week's game on next Saturday's game for the college football season. So I wasn't watching that much college football. I didn't know who Jerry Jones was.
Yeah. Well, plus back then you get like 2 games on TV, something like that.
Yeah, we didn't have all the networks.
Yeah, there's no networks. There's no social media.
NFL package.
Yeah.
And so we weren't getting all that. But I knew that I had known that Tom Landry was fired, that Jimmy Johnson came in. Jimmy Johnson was at the University of Miami, great college coach, and I knew about that transition. So I knew that this team was a little different. So when I got drafted, the person that I had in mind was always Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. So Jerry wasn't even,
Jerry wasn't even, like on the ownership side, I didn't even think about Jerry. First time I met Jerry was when we got drafted, when I got drafted in 1992, and we had our press conference. And that was the first time I had actually met the man in person. I can tell you that he was by far the most charismatic man in that room that day. Mm-hmm. Had a huge smile. We're doing the press conference. He's patting us on the back, and I'm like, oh, okay, Jimmy's more subdued. Jimmy's more got this business hat on, and it's football. He's just a coach. Jerry was suited and booted. Smelled his cologne from like a mile away. He was different, man.
You'd never met anybody like Jerry Jones.
I'd never met at that. Well, look, I've met a lot of personalities in the past. I mean, even as a young kid, like on the street, I've met a lot of guys who had this bubbly, personality that attracted people.
Yeah.
But he was a guy that he walks in the room, it.
Yeah. Even that first time, you just knew this is different.
First time. And it wasn't, everybody's like, well, you can smell the money. No, you couldn't smell the money. It's just, he had some, like, this pop in his step. Mm-hmm. There was this magnetic, a feeling about him when he walked in the room because he smiled, he was engaging, looked you right in the eyes, had these conversations with you. Didn't matter if you were a second-round pick or a free agent that was there for this press conference. He was engaging.
Was he likable the first time you met him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What did he do that was likable?
For
you personally?
For me personally, he looked me in the eyes and talked. Like, he really had a conversation. And it wasn't a long conversation, but you knew he cared. Like, I can't say the same thing about Jimmy. Jimmy was more or less like, hey, look, you got a job to do, dude. I'll see you in a few days, and we're going to see if you can get this shit done, you know? Jerry was just like, hey, man, I'm so happy you're here. You're a Dallas Cowboy. Got the star on your hat, on your helmet. You know, we're going to make history. And he's all about it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
So you believed him because your BS radar is one of the strongest I've ever met.
Well,
you believed him.
I don't know if I believed him in that aspect. I just felt like there was something engaging about him. Like, have you ever being around people that have this joy in their heart? Mm-hmm. Like, that's Jerry. Mm. It wasn't fake. It was like, this is who he is. And every time I met him, the first time I met him, the second time I met him, same way. Popping his step, walks real fast, shakes everybody's hand, you know, sees your wife and he's engaging. Hey, how are you? Rubs the kids on the head. What's going on? Gets to know everybody. Like, that's Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
He takes the time. I think that's what I would say that's different than most. He will absolutely take the time to get to know you and your family. And he's not alone. The entire Jones family is that way. His daughter Charlotte is the exact same way. Steven's exact. Junior. I mean, they're engaging people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what separates them from most that are I would say filthy rich,
right?
Because they are.
Yeah. So that was the first time you met him. What was then the next time? What was your next interaction with him like?
It wasn't much.
Was it often?
No, it wasn't much at all.
See him very often?
No. So back then in 1992, Jerry was new to the world. So he took ownership of the Cowboys in '87. So he was more engaged on, the money aspect. It was business for him, marketing. He was pioneering, Nike coming in as a sponsor, all these big sponsors that weren't privy to the NFL at that time. That's where Jerry Jones was. He was bringing sponsorship to the NFL, not just the Cowboys, but to the NFL. So he was on the business side of things. He wasn't involved in the football side of things. It was Jimmy Johnson ran the football aspect of everything. He made all the decisions, brought guys in, fired guys.
Jimmy did, not Jerry. Because Jerry does that now, right? He has a big hand now.
Jerry was not the acting GM back then. Jerry was way behind the scenes, doing business like a young owner.
So that first, however long, when did you start, I guess, feeling that transition? So when you first met him, when you first joined the Cowboys, he was distant. You didn't really know much about him.
Yeah.
He wasn't around day to day, around you at least.
He wasn't, yeah.
So when did that transition start to happen?
That transition didn't happen until the fallout between Jimmy and Jerry. Okay. And that was the reason why there was a fallout, because Jimmy had basically corralled this team and was getting all the credit for the success of the Cowboys organization.
Because the perspective you just shared was he was doing all.
He was doing.
He was bringing in all the personnel. Yes. He was making all the decisions.
But the argument is he was bringing in all the guys, but guess who was paying all the guys?
Right.
And so there's this 50-50 here. I mean, I don't care how you cut it. If I'm the boss and you're doing your job, you're coaching, you're bringing in guys, you're cutting guys and all that, I should get some of that credit as well. And that's true.
Yeah.
In some aspects, but the egos got too big between the two. They both wanted, all the glory. And once Jimmy was exited out, that's when Jerry was really involved.
Yeah.
And when Jimmy left, we had a team meeting, and that's when Jerry really got involved. Okay. He started the team meeting, and that was different. That was really different, man, because
so your perception of Jerry was he's kind of distant, he's a great guy, really cares about me. And then that team meeting happens. Then what happened to your perception?
I was upset. I was really upset, and I wasn't alone, man. We were we had won back-to-back championships. We were about to make history. We felt like we were going to make history and go we were the best team, best personnel in the NFL at that time. We had already won 2. We were on the verge of possibly winning 3, which would have been history, would have been 3-peat. We were all engaged. We were one of the youngest teams still in the NFL, and then you shake it up. I mean, you shake it up. So the perception was that Jerry fired Jimmy. Later on, you find that it was mutually, however you want to say, they were mutually figured out they couldn't coexist. But at that time, I thought, and everyone else thought, that Jimmy got fired. And I just could not believe how an organization that had so much good going for it could just give that up. That didn't make any sense, man. Like, enjoy the success that you're having, the run that you're on. Enjoy it. It'd be like Phil Jackson winning, 3 championships and then the Bulls firing him. Like, that doesn't happen. So I was frustrated. I know Michael Irvin. You can go back and look at the tape of him throwing garbage cans around, and guys were outwardly disgusted in what was taking place. And so when Jerry came in with that meeting, I was numb, man. I was just like, I can't believe this shit is happening.
Yeah. So you weren't even really listening and paying attention to what he was saying?
No.
You were just upset?
I was just down on the situation. Man, it was a weird time because it caught us all off guard. Mm-hmm. Jimmy we had already gone through, winning the championship and then starting to get ready for the next year. And this caught us. This is in March about March. This is happening. And it was just a different feel for us.
So on the personal side, your contract negotiations, were you locked in at that time? Did you have any interactions?
No, I was locked in that time. I was locked in until 95. So I had a couple more years to go, in which Jimmy would have been handling those type of situations. Jerry was involved fully after Jimmy had walked out the door.
Yeah.
It was all about Jerry leading things. Barry Switzer came in as the head coach, but I saw a lot of Jerry at the practices. Never saw him at practices.
Oh, so this is when the transition started.
Rarely saw him at practices.
But now all of a sudden,
we're seeing him integrated in practices, being on the sideline, bringing sponsorship onto the sideline, which we never saw.
What were you thinking then?
The fuck are we doing? Who are these people?
Yeah.
It was a practice, man. It was just it was a different deal.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was, so when Jimmy was there, everything was intense. Like, practices were like, it was a game. It felt like a game at practice. That's how hard we practiced. Like, there are fights during practice. Guys are trying to keep their jobs. It was highly competitive throughout practice. When Jimmy left, same style of practice, but the intensity wasn't there. That same intensity, that edge that we always had, that was gone. And it was forever gone. We ended up going to the NFC Championship. It never came back until Parcells came.
Right.
But that was gone. That edge that we always had was out, and Jerry was more involved. Again, things were more relaxed. Barry Switzer had taken over Jimmy's staff, basically, so you can understand how that looked. Mm-hmm. And his staff was Jimmy's staff was like, I should be the next guy. Why are they bringing Barry Switzer off the couch? So there was a lot of there was so much turmoil going on at that time, as far as the coaching staff, players. Now we weren't as disciplined. As you miss a meeting if you want, be late for a meeting with Jimmy. Like, be a minute late with Jimmy. If you're a bubble guy, your ass is gone. Like, there was no being late. Now it was, well, that's accepted. It's okay.
And do you think that started at the top?
Oh, starts at the top, man. Yeah. Starts at the top, man. If you don't, again, that team had so many personalities. So many. I mean, the Irvins, the Haleys, the Nate Newtons. I mean, I can list 25 guys that were just dogs. And Jimmy had his thumb on us and knew how to push the right buttons. When he left, that thumb came off.
Yeah.
And the dogs were out. And we were doing some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Really stupid things.
Yeah.
So
what was your opinion on Jerry during this period of time?
We lost.
There's no respect.
I know. Look, I still love Jerry. I just felt like, okay, now he has to fix this. Mm-hmm. We have to get this back in order. And it took the players, like the Troy Aikmans, had to really step up. And this is why, Troy is probably, mostly perturbed about how things went, because he understood that we had the opportunity to win 4 or 5 in a row. He also understood the fact that now he had to, Jimmy wasn't there to take off some of the pressure. Now he had a lot more pressure on him, and the leadership did as a whole. Guys that were the leaders of this team had to really step up, because we didn't have that fence around us anymore. Jimmy wasn't patrolling anymore, so people were showing up late. We're doing things, and that was hard, man. It's hard to play at a championship level and then have to babysit people at the same time.
Yeah. So you talked about your contract negotiation. So that leads into what was your perception of Jerry from a negotiation standpoint going in before you ever?
I think there were 2 parts to that. Okay, so I was at the top of my game, my first contract, my second contract coming up. Like I was the elite safety. I was going to be the highest paid safety, hands down. We all knew that was coming. So that negotiation was a lot easier in the sense of, we were engaged. We had been talking about it. He had been communicating with my agent heavily, and it was like, hey, man, it was really easy.
So does he come down in the locker room and like buddy you at all?
Man, he's telling coaches, hey, we're going to get this deal done. The coaches are coming to me, hey, we're going to get this deal done. And I'm like, yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was like, it was refreshing because he knew the value. And you could feel him saying, hey, look, when it's time, we're going to take care of it. He told me that 1 million times in the locker room after games. Hey, we'll get this deal done. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Get it done. We're going to get it done. So I firmly believe that. And that was Jerry. Like, you just felt his presence and had confidence in getting it done. So the negotiation was a lot easier. Now, I would say the second, third contract was a little bit rougher. And then my last contract, that's when it was like, okay, Jerry was out of the picture. Steven was more in the picture. And Steven was not playing around. He was not. There was no buddy chest bumping in the locker room.
No brother-in-law deals.
No, there ain't no brother-in-law deals. It was like, hey, man, you're at the end of your career, and we got to figure this out. We ain't just paying you just because. And it was a time where I got when you're redoing a contract, you're always sensitive about things anyway. Yeah. So it was one of those sensitive times, but Jerry wasn't as involved in the last time around. So our game plan in the negotiation, myself and my agent George Bass, our game plan was, we need to get Jerry involved. We got to push Steven out. Hopefully get Steven out of the way.
Because you were hoping Jerry would be a little more emotional connection.
Once Jerry gets in, the emotions start to kick in. And it's a lot easier on both sides.
Right.
To get the deal done. And I know they play good cop, bad cop. I know and Steven, I'm telling you, if you want a negotiator, you bring Steven Jones in that room. He's a damn good negotiator. And he's tough, right? And you may not like him during the whole process, but then we finally got to Dad. We finally got to Jerry, because it was nut cutting time. It was the last second before free agency was coming, and here comes Jerry. Jerry comes in the room, calls me personally.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he called me personally. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Hey, let's get this deal done. I said, okay. I'm talking to Jay. He said, no. Come in the office tomorrow. We're going to get this deal done.
Really?
Yeah. So I called my agent up. Yeah, Bass. I said, Bass, Jerry called me. And he's like, good. Damn. It's about damn time. Here's the numbers. Blah, blah, blah. And I went in, got the deal done, bro.
What was that conversation like?
That was just like.
Was it just one-on-one, you and Jerry?
Actually, Steven was in. And then Steven left out. Jerry got it done. Like, hey, here are the numbers. Look, how many more years you're trying to play and blah, blah. And, you've been a lifer. I want you to end your career here as a Dallas Cowboy. You've done so much for us in the community and blah, blah. He's just so engaging and likable. You're like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, let's get this done. And he came with the right numbers, man. The numbers matched up, and we went from there. And then Steven walked back in, and we were best of friends again.
How much of a relationship did you have with Jerry outside of the locker room, outside of the field at this point?
Look, there were some things that I used to work with Salvation Army, which was one of the big charities that they were involved in, and they would always have me, speak for them. The family would always engage with me to do some things. I don't know if I used the relationship as much as other guys, or went to Jerry as much as other guys. I always felt like, he's got too much shit on his plate already. Why am I don't want to continue to ask him for things. So it was just more of a respect, hey, have good conversations. Like Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders, they were strong relationships. Like, they went to him and they had, they got to build more of a deeper bond in that sense. I was more or less like, hey, it's business. I want to win. Let's get back on track. Blah, blah, blah.
So you intentionally kept the relationship more towards football?
Yeah, I think it was, and I think that's more my personality as well too. Like, he's your boss, and I treat him with respect, but I want to win. Let's figure this shit out. Yeah. Like, let's win games. I think the relationship got stronger when I retired, based on the fact that, man, I don't care what anyone says about the Jones family. This family is special. The things they do and the things that I've seen, I've sat at a table, and I don't know if I should be saying this. I sat at a charity function, and I knew I shouldn't be saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I sat at a charity function with Miss Jean Jones, Jerry's wife, and Jerry. And at the function, they were trying to raise money. And I sat right next to them, and I heard a conversation that it would blow your mind. Jerry asked, I'm not going to tell you what the foundation was, but very well-known foundation here in Dallas, asked, the guy, what they needed and how short were they, because they were short. They were running this, these numbers, and they were saying, yeah, we're short by, $2 million and blah, blah, blah. Still trying to raising money, and people are donating, they're calling in. And then the end of the deal, they were still short by $2 million. And Jerry reached over and said, hey,
I got you.
Didn't say it to anyone else.
Wow.
I heard him say it. I looked at him and I heard him say it. He reached over with his hand, hit him on the hand. He said, I got this.
Wow.
And not without telling anyone else. Like, I just happened to just see it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm telling. I mean, he's doing things behind the scenes that you would never know. Guys are walking into his office on day-to-day basis, for resources, former players. And he's an open book. I've had so many conversations with his resources by him just calling me and saying, or me calling him, or him calling me and saying, hey, what you need? Got it. Stephen Jones. Yeah, what you need? Got it.
So he's open like that. If you call him up,
so walk in.
How can I help you?
Yes. You walk in.
Wow.
How can I help?
Still to this day, even though you're not providing them necessarily?
Day, Charlotte Jones, Stephen, all of them. They that's why when I was at ESPN, it was so hard to be critical of the Jones, because everybody's like, oh, they suck, and they, he's terrible as a GM. They haven't won a championship since 1995. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but his family.
You don't know him like I know him.
No, you don't know him like me.
Yeah, that's always the fascinating thing to me, is we can be so critical of people we've never met.
Yeah.
And we just see them on TV,
and rightfully so. I think Jerry would tell you in a heartbeat, hey, I haven't made all the best decisions as a football GM.
Yeah.
But don't question my heart, because his heart is deeper than you would ever know.
So you may have just answered it, but what in your mind is the biggest misconception about Jerry?
That he's all about the money, that it's all business. I think the reason why Jerry is so successful is, one, he's a great negotiator. But two, he knows how to engage people. He knows what makes you tick, and how to maneuver through situations. And it's not always pretty. I mean, I know I've seen things that he'll have a temper. He'll tell your ass when you're wrong or whatnot. I've seen that part of it, but I don't like the word, because he said the word, life is not fair. Fair. Remember, I get this word for you. Take fair out of your vernacular. That's over. That's gone. That's not in your vocabulary. Fair does not exist. That's from Jerry. But we're going to figure out what's the closest thing to it. And that's how I would say he's fair, man. He's fair, and he wants the best for you, and you feel it. Like, he wants you to succeed.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, he's a good dude, man. I mean, the whole family, brother, they're salt of the earth.
Still treat you well.
I mean, not just me, man. Everyone. People don't like him because what's going on with the Cowboys, and they haven't won a championship, man. Get to know the man's heart, brother.
Yeah.
You will absolutely change your mind.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, that's why I wanted to have that discussion, because, you just see the little sound bites and the highlights on ESPN, but I knew you had a different, different experience, different perspective. So appreciate you sharing.
Thanks, man.